Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news at 6 where we get you the day's top developing stories. I'm Tracy Shilshi and here are the headlines. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu lays the foundation stone of Jharkhand's first greenfield smart city in Ranchi, asks citizens to use the opportunity to develop all areas where they live. On a 4-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir, Home Minister Rajnath Singh says he has an open mind and will meet anyone who can help find a solution to the Kashmir issue. Separatist leader Yasin Malik is arrested. Ryan International School in Gurgaon suspends its principal after parents' protests against the murder of a 7-year-old student. CBI probe is sought into the murder as police arrest a bus conductor. And mass exodus is on in Florida as Hurricane Irma is likely to deliver a destructive blow to the region on Sunday. At least 22 people are killed in Cuba, where the storm made landfall as a Category 5 storm. Top story this Saturday evening, Jharkhand will get its first greenfield smart city in Ranchi. Situated in the outskirts of the capital, it will house the campus of the Ranchi High Court and the new Assembly building. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu laid the foundation stone of the proposed city that is expected to be a shining example of the cooperation between the centre and Jharkhand.
Vice President Venkaiah Naidu laid the foundation for India's first greenfield smart city in Ranchi on Saturday. Governor Draupadi Murmu and Jharkhand Chief Minister Raghuvar Das were also present at the ceremony. Addressing a gathering at the function, Vice President Naidu said it was fitting that the smart city is coming up at Jharkhand. The Vice President also unveiled the master plan of the proposed city, which will have newly built structures.
मैं आप लोगों को बताना चाहता हूं, स्मार्ट माने सुंदर, आकर्षणीय माने जहां नागरिक को के लिए सभी सुविधा हो, रहने के लिए मकान, चलने के लिए सड़क, वाहन, पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट, बिजली, स्वच्छता, वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट और वहाँ का बेस्ट ट्रैफिक सिस्टम, शिक्षा के लिए व्यवस्था, रोजगार और साथ ही साथ के लिए सभी सुविधा जहाँ उपलब्ध होता है उसी को हम लोग स्मार्ट सिटी कहते हैं.
Vice President Naidu released the proposed plan for an urban civic tower, convention center and Jharkhand Urban Planning Management Institute. The new city is expected to help Jharkhand develop from a backward state to developed area.
जमाने में अनुभव किया और आज के जमाने में दुनिया आगे बढ़ रही, लिबरलाइजेशन, प्राइवेटाइजेशन, ग्लोबलाइजेशन के कारण से पूरा दुनिया में परिवर्तन आ रहे हैं. तो भारत पीछे क्यों? ऐसा सोच के प्रधानमंत्री ने सभी योजना लाया है और साथ ही साथ देश में सब मिलकर काम करें तभी ये संभव होगा. केंद्र सरकार, प्रदेश सरकार, स्थानीय इकाई, म्युनिसिपैलिटी, नगरपालिका, पंचायत सब मिलकर अपना दायित्व संभाले तभी ये सभी स्कीम्स सफल हो जाएंगे.
The Vice President asked citizens to use the opportunity to develop all areas where they live. He said a smart city was just like a lighthouse that guides other areas.
झारखंड नया बना हुआ स्टेट है, मगर 40% रिसोर्स मिनरल्स आपके पास है. भगवान का दया है आपके ऊपर. रिसोर्सफुल स्टेट है, ब्यूटीफुल वेदर है, ब्यूटीफुल पीपल है, नॉलेजफुल चीफ मिनिस्टर है, हेल्पफुल प्राइम मिनिस्टर है. और क्या चाहिए? ऑल आर फुल. वी मस्ट मेक इट पावरफुल, skillful, knowledgeful and useful, and finally you can make the state into a wonderful state. That is the wonderful state, that is the smart state, that is the smart city.
Vice President Naidu was in Ranchi on 2-day visit, which is his first to the state as Vice President. On Friday, he took part in the International Literacy Day function where he presented awards to various people. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha TV.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh started his 4-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir today. He met Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti and a delegation of houseboat owners and a travel agent society of Kashmir. The Home Minister said that he was visiting the state with an open mind and is willing to meet anyone who can help in finding solutions to the problems in the valley. Meanwhile, some separatist leaders were taken into preventive custody after they called for protests against the NIA raids in Srinagar. Restrictions were imposed in many parts of the city to maintain law and order. Meanwhile, Pakistani forces also violated ceasefire along the LOC in Poonch district. The firing from across the border started at about 10:30 this morning, prompting retaliation by Indian troops. 2 army porters were injured. And an encounter broke out between security forces and militants in Sopore town. Acting on a specific intelligence input, security forces launched a search operation on Saturday morning. As the forces conducted the search, militants opened fire in which one of them was killed.
One militant has been neutralized in today's operation, which was carried out in a place called Ribbon, Naupura Sopur, and the militant identified is Shahid Mir from Kazipura Kachlu, that's Mawar belt of Hindwara. One AK-47, some magazines and live ammunition was also recovered. The operation was carried out on a very specific information regarding his presence in that village. So a neat and clean operation with no collateral damage, and the operation has been concluded, and the body has now been handed over to the relatives in the legal hands for last rites.
Onto the National Capital Region, and there's outrage over the horrendous murder of a 7-year-old student at a Gurgaon school on Friday. Angry parents held protests outside the school premises on Saturday, alleging negligence by the school management. HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar also expressed shock and assured justice to the parents of the deceased.
Massive protests outside the Rajya International School in Haryana's Gurgaon on Saturday, a day after the horrific murder of a Class 2 student inside the school premises. Angry parents and locals demanded stringent action against the school while seeking a CBI probe into the murder of the 7-year-old student.
प्रत्येक वर्ष कुछ न कुछ इस तरीके से घटना हो रही है, हर वर्ष बच्चों की जान जा रही है। स्कूल प्रशासन का राजनीतिक पहुंच बहुत बड़ा है, जिस कारण स्कूल प्रशासन पे कुछ भी नहीं होता है। अभी आप देख सकते हैं कि 24 घंटे से ज्यादा बीत चुकी है, फिर भी पुलिस एक भी स्कूल मैनेजमेंट को अरेस्ट नहीं किया है।
इसकी जांच होनी चाहिए, सीबीआई से जांच होनी चाहिए। दूसरा, स्कूल के प्रशासन में अधिकारी बंद होने चाहिए, स्कूल बंद होना चाहिए, स्कूल बंद करो, स्कूल बंद करो।
Following the outrage, the school principal was suspended. The police said a special team has been formed to investigate.
जो कार्यवाहक प्रिंसिपल है उनको सस्पेंड किया गया है। जो सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड करने की जिनकी एजेंसी थी उनको भी वहाँ से चेंज किया गया है, उनके खिलाफ भी कार्रवाई की गई है और नई एजेंसी के लिए उन्होंने लिखा है। साथ में एक कमेटी भी डिप्टी कमिश्नर साहब को बोल के हमने बनवाई है, जिसमें जो भी कमियां अनियमितताएं रही हैं, जो इंस्ट्रक्शंस एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से आती हैं रिगार्डिंग सिक्योरिटी और अदरवाइज भी, वो सारी जो हैं वो एक कमेटी बना के उसको स्टडी कर रही है। उनमें जो कमियां हैं उनका सारा रिकॉर्ड चेक किया जा रहा है और जो भी कार्रवाई जिसके अगेंस्ट भी बनती होगी उस डेफिनेटली की जाएगी।
The CBSE also formed a 2-member fact-finding committee to inquire into the incident. HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar also assured justice to the parents.
गुरुग्राम के एक स्कूल में 7 साल के छात्र की जिस तरह से हत्या हुई है बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है और सबको विचार करना चाहिए कि ऐसी परिस्थिति दोबारा कैसे न हो। स्कूलों को, अभिभावकों को और सबको और सावधानी बरतने की ये चेतावनी एक तरह से है और मुझे लगता है कि ये इसकी जांच तुरंत हो रही है, पुलिस गुनहगारों तक पहुंची है और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि जल्दी न्याय होगा।
The suspect is bus conductor Ashok, who was sent to police custody for 3 days after being produced in a Gurgaon court. Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar said his government will seek maximum punishment for the accused.
वास्तव में बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना है और बड़ा एक जघन्य अपराध ये किया है जिसने भी किया है और सारी घटना ध्यान में आने के बाद हमारी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने, शासन ने पूरी चुस्ती से काम करके और जिसने अपराध किया, जिसके ऊपर शक गया है, वो बस का जो कंडक्टर है उसको गिरफ्तार कर लिया है और उसको पुलिस के रिमांड पर भी ले लिया गया 3 दिन के। और हमने निर्देश दिया सभी शासन प्रशासन के अधिकारियों को कि 7 दिन के अंदर अंदर सारी फॉर्मेलिटी जितनी होती है पूरी करके और इसका चालान पेश किया जाए। और मैं चाहूँगा कि हम अपील भी करेंगे कोर्ट को कि जितना जल्दी हो सके इस घटना के अपराध को जल्दी से सख्त सजा दी जाए।
Parents of the child say the arrest of the conductor is not enough. They want the school to be held accountable.
मुझे स्कूल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के अगेंस्ट भी एक्शन चाहिए।
बच्चों का केयर नहीं कर सकता, बिजनेस यहाँ खोल के रखा है, वहाँ कोई नहीं भेजेगा बच्चा अपना, कोई भी नहीं भेजेगा। उन्होंने बस एक बिजनेस चला रखा है पैसा कमाने के लिए। आपके पास क्यों नहीं है? आपका बच्चा आपका जा रहा है, आप बच्चे को क्लास तक पहुंचाने का जिम्मेदारी किसका है? स्कूल गेट से क्लास तक बच्चा पहुंचा कि नहीं पहुंचा, वो किसकी जिम्मेदारी है?
7-year-old Pradyuman Thakur was found in a pool of blood in the school toilet with his throat slit on Friday, minutes after his father dropped him off at school. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to other news. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj met her Sri Lankan counterpart in the capital today. They discussed a range of bilateral issues to further strengthen the India-Sri Lanka partnership. Both the leaders met earlier this month in Colombo when Sushma Swaraj attended the 2nd Indian Ocean Conference. Marapana arrived on Friday on a 2-day visit to India and will also call upon the Prime Minister. And here's a look at what else made news across the country today in Nationwide. The Union Home Ministry has received a report from the Karnataka government on the killing of senior journalist Gauri Lankesh by unidentified persons in Bengaluru. The factual report gave detailed account of the killing and the follow-up action taken up by the police. The report also mentioned that the state government had set up a special investigation team to probe the case. Home Minister Rajnath Singh had asked for a report from the state government. An illegal explosive factory and 2 secret tunnels, one leading from Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh's residence to a women's hostel, have been found inside the sprawling Dera campus in Haryana's Sirsa. Searches are being carried out by the security forces and district authorities after a court order. 85 cartons of explosive material were also recovered from the premises, which members of Ram Rahim's Dera Sacha Sauda sect say were to be used to make firecrackers. The factory has been sealed and a forensic team is examining the nature of the explosives. Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh said that the alleged scam of 186.79 crore rupees in the Manipur Development Society or MDS will be handed over to the CBI once the preliminary investigation by the police was over. The alleged scam figured former Chief Minister O. Ibobi Singh and 5 top bureaucrats. Ibobi Singh had served as the State Chief Minister between 2002 and March 2017. Chief Minister Biren also added that cases against those found innocent would be ultimately withdrawn. With a quick break here, up next, the top international stories.
The Harappan period is also called the Bronze Era. Extensive collection from the era shows the Indus artists were not only well-versed in techniques of metallurgy, but also innovations in dance and performing arts. This is best seen in the famous Mohenjo-daro relic, the Indus dancing girl. No less impressive is the man drawing a bullock cart depicting agriculture activities. Bronze elephants, on the other hand, show domesticated animals used for transport.
The story we thought we knew. The story of magnificence, the story of bloody battles, of those who ruled and those who left their footprints. The story charting the course of our past. Talking history on Rajya Sabha TV.
A labyrinth of hundreds of narrow stairway passages, is a significant and historical component of what you popularly know as Bara Imambara. Some of these narrow stairways have dead ends, some end at precipitous drops, while others lead to entrance or exit points. Historically, Bhul Bhulaiya was constructed to confuse the enemy intruder, and the narrow lanes of the labyrinth can make anyone feel lost. The structure contains various strategically built hollows in the corridors.
Welcome back. Let's get you the top international story. And Hurricane Irma strengthened and made landfall in Cuba as a Category 5 storm on Saturday, as millions of residents were ordered to evacuate in Florida. Irma is expected to hit the U.S. state on Sunday and expected to move into Georgia and South Carolina. The storm has already killed at least 23 people in the Eastern Caribbean and left huge destruction in its wake.
Hurricane Irma battered Cuba with strong winds and heavy rain on Saturday after devastating several Caribbean islands and killing at least 23 people. The Category 5 storm made landfall with sustained winds of 160 miles per hour late on Friday night. This is the first time a Category 5 hurricane hit Cuba in decades. Category 5 is the National Hurricane Center's most powerful designation. About 50,000 tourists fled Cuba, although the Bahamas was largely spared after Irma changed track.
Para nosotros, lo primero es proteger la población, el hombre, y después proteger los medios económicos. Ese es el principal objetivo del sistema de defensa civil cubano. Cuando se da el cese de la fase establecida para ese territorio, representa que ya el evento ya se alejó del territorio, que ya no representa un peligro.
Irma is one of the fiercest Atlantic storms of the century and is expected to hit Florida on Sunday. As many as 5.6 million people were told to evacuate from Florida, more than a quarter of the state's population. U.S. Emergency Agency warned that Hurricane Irma will devastate either Florida or neighboring states. At least 540,000 people in Georgia were also told to flee as the storm headed towards the American mainland.
But I'm going to continue to do whatever I can to get the message out that we care about your safety. You've got to get prepared. If you're in an evacuation zone, you need to get out now and get either to a friend, a family, a hotel, a shelter, but get where you need to go and do not wait.
The External Affairs Ministry is communicating with the Indian diaspora in the US, Venezuela, France and Netherlands in the wake of deadly hurricane. As Irma cuts through the Caribbean, 2 other storms have been upgraded to hurricane status. Katia in the Gulf of Mexico and Jose, which is following Irma in the Atlantic. The United States has been hit by only 3 Category 5 storms since 1851. Irma is far larger than the last one in 1992. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Meanwhile, rescue efforts are underway in Mexico's southern coast after a powerful 8.1 magnitude quake left at least 61 people dead and 200 injured. Tens of thousands of emergency packs as well as 100 extra police officers and rescue dogs were sent to the worst affected town of Oaxaca. Heavy machines were deployed to remove the rubble. President Enrique Peña Nieto has declared a national day of mourning. Meanwhile, the feared Category 1 Hurricane Katia that struck Veracruz on Saturday has been now downgraded to a tropical storm.
Para la que estamos ya se declaró en emergencia por parte del gobierno federal a todos los municipios de la zona del Istmo y posteriormente, una vez que podamos superar esta etapa de emergencia, haremos un censo puntual de las viviendas y de los negocios.
North Korea celebrated its 69th year of existence with military displays and fresh threats to the United States. North Korea said that the United States and its allies are doomed to be defeated, even as the international community waited for signs of another missile launch. But no weapons test was detected. The US formally requested a UN Security Council vote on Monday on the toughest sanctions yet against North Korea, despite resistance from China and Russia. Washington has already presented a draft UN resolution calling for an oil embargo on North Korea, an assets freeze on leader Kim Jong-un, a ban on textile exports, and an end to payments of North Korean guest workers. With that, a look at what else made news across the world today in Global Buzz. The United Nations on Saturday said that nearly 300,000 Rohingya Muslims have fled Myanmar's Rakhine state into Bangladesh in the 15 days since new violence erupted. Most of them arrived by foot or on boats. The new numbers represent roughly a third of Myanmar's Rohingya people, a stateless Muslim minority, although the government there does not release exact population figures. Citing the dramatic floods in India and Nepal, UN Chief Antonio Guterres urged nations to commit to the historic Paris deal, address the threats posed by climate change as natural disasters become frequent and more devastating. Guterres also said that the UN is ready to support relief efforts in any way possible. The UNICEF estimated that almost 16 million children and their families are in urgent need of life-saving support. China and Pakistan have agreed to strengthen anti-terrorism and security cooperation along a $50 billion economic corridor which links the restive regions of the two countries through a network of rail and road projects. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor connects Xinjiang province in northwest China and southwestern Pakistan. The security cooperation agreement was reached when Meng Jianzhou, head of the Commission for Political and Legal Affairs of the Communist Party Central Committee, met visiting Pakistani Foreign Minister Khwaja Asif and Pakistani National Security Advisor Nasir Khan Janjua yesterday in Beijing. Saudi Arabia on Friday suspended its dialogue with Qatar and also accused Doha of distorting facts soon after a phone call between the rulers of both the countries offered hope of a breakthrough in the 3-month-old Gulf crisis. According to reports, Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani spoke to Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to express interest in talks in the first public dialogue between the leaders after the US president offered to mediate in the crisis. And finally, let's get you all the updates from the world of sports in Sports. World number 1, Rafael Nadal moved closer to his 16th Grand Slam title after defeating 24th seeded Juan Martín del Potro 4-6, 6-love, 6-3, 6-2 in the US Open semi-finals on Friday. Nadal struggled to handle his opponent's serve and huge forehand in the opening set, but came on top in the next 3. Nadal will now face South African Kevin Anderson in the finals. In the other US Open semi-final, South African Kevin Anderson had beaten 12th seeded Pablo Carreño Busta 4-6, 7-5, 6-3, 6-4. Anderson, who is ranked 32 in the world, is the lowest ranked US Open men's singles finalist since 1973. Busta took the first set in quick time, with Anderson taking the second, third and the fourth sets. Anderson will face Nadal in the finals now. Kylian Mbappe scored a superb goal on his debut for Paris Saint-Germain, and Edinson Cavani netted twice as the League One leaders stretched their perfect start to 5 wins with a 5-1 score against Metz on Friday. Mbappe scored PSG's second goal with a ferocious low strike from the edge of the penalty area after the home side left-back Benoit Asuekoto was harshly sent off early in the second half. Neymar scored the third goal, which took the scoreline to 3-1. The result left PSG in the driving seat with the 15 points from 5 games. And that's all for you on the news at 6. Thank you so much for joining us.